Hey, what's going on, everybody? This your boy Jay Mason. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Album Cover, where we get inside the entertainment industry with those in the know and give them their flowers right here to be celebrated. With me right now, I have a DJ that is world renowned. And if you know, you know, especially if you're from St. Louis, Missouri. This man is well known. He is one of the best DJs that is around, and we're gonna get to know him, his accolades, and then some with the one and only. G-Wiz. G-Wiz, thank you for coming on Beyond the Album Cover, sir. How are you?
I'm good, sir. Thank you, Jay. But you didn't have to lie in that intro. Don't be
Man,
lying. Don't be lying to the people already.
hey man, I gotta do my job and sell, man, but you one of the ones.
Man, well, I'm one of many, is what I say. One of
One of
many.
many, one of many, one of many. So let's just go ahead and jump right on in. Were you always born and raised in St. Louis, or did you relocate from somewhere else prior to coming to St. Louis? So tell your story.
No, I was born and raised in St. Louis, um, strictly. Um, at one point, I did live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in 2000. Lived there for 4 years. Uh, but I'm mainly St. Louis mostly.
Okay, mainly St. Louis. So they call St. Louis in the Midwest gateway to the West. Why is that, would you say?
That was, during what was that? The Louisiana Purchase. It was like that's that point, that Mississippi River is the point when you cross over into the west side of what America was in those early days. So when you went out further west, then that arch being this so-called gateway,
Hmm.
once you pass that arch, through that arch, it's like you're on the west side, the
Hmm.
frontier,
Yeah, once you pass through that arch, you got to grab some of that Budweiser Brute and Anheuser Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
if you drink.
That's even of the drinking type because if you know, you know. And of course, St. Louis known for Anheuser Busch, St. Louis Cardinals. Originally, they had a basketball team, Spirit of St. Louis, that ended up being defunct, and the owners of that team ended up making a good killing off of those NBA TV contracts when they sold off.
Before the Spirits, it was the St. Louis Hawks.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
St. Louis House, little bit of history. So what got you into DJing? Who were some of the people that got you into wanting to DJ?
Well, my person that got me into DJing was used to be my neighbor, DJ, goes by the name of Sylvester the Cat. Um, he knew that I was into music, grew up into music, listened to the bands, that my stepfather had, sitting around watching them. And we all had, back then in the 60s, we all wanted to be like the Fat Albert Kids, where we had the little garage band, with the brooms and the drums as the trash cans and all that stuff. So we pretended to be that. So I was always into music. I never played an instrument, but so we had records, lots of records. And so my neighbor, who was DJing at the time, Sylvester the Cat, pulled me in with him. And he's the one that got me started, gave me my first set of turntables in the summer, so was it spring of 1978. Some BSR turntables with a realistic mixer. And that's how I started my whole journey of DJing, you know.
Wow. And people, this was back in the day when in order to get on, you had to carry crates, pretty much do anything and everything to get into the game. Did you kind of follow that role for crate carrier and then worked your way up the chain?
I was record selector, amp carrier, speaker carrier, all of that, because it would be like I would go he would take me into the lounges and taverns with him. Um, and of course I was underage. I wasn't 21 at the time, but Long as I didn't drink and I was back there with him, they didn't say nothing. And so it became a thing where he would ask me for certain records, 45s, mostly is what we carried back then. And I can flip through them like, a casino gambler, and pull out the song that he want. And that's how I got to shifting and knowing, the music or whatever. And then, of course, when he uh, go to the restroom or whatever, you you know, play this song after this, go off and type of stuff. And so I get to hit the button and change the crossfader. So that was like the initiative of it,
Mhm.
So and heck, hooking up speakers and just when speakers and amps were heavy, crates of records were heavy, So yeah, it was cool. It was fun.
Yeah, and you got to work out too because those are back when they had those big component sets, those huge speakers, and you had to bring any and everything. That's why you had to have a big crew because the equipment was really hard to move around with just a few.
Well, in our case, it was only two of us, just two of us. We didn't need a crew. Um, I mean, I did construction, so lifting things was nothing for me. So we always kept it as just us two. It was just us two doing it.
Okay. Okay. So what was it like when hip hop finally broke into St. Louis right around during the time when Rappers Delight was starting to make buzz outside of New York and other regions of the country was hearing that record and say, hey, we want to take what they do, but add our own local twist to it.
Well, I'm gonna give you some information here. Um, First, I'm gonna just say, um, when I heard "Rappers Delight," um, it was at the skating rink. Is when I heard it, and on radio, St. Louis radio, station called WSL in East St. Louis, and East St. Louis, Illinois, which is right across the river. Um, Robert's Delight was first played on radio in East St. Louis, not in New York.
Really?
East St. Louis, Illinois. WSL 1490 AM. Program director Jim Gates. The DJ on the air who was told to play the song was a female, goes by the name of Lady Edie B. And so that's when it was first played on radio, not East Coast, not the West Coast, St. Louis, East St. Louis, I should say, East St. Louis, Illinois. That's a fact. Sylvia Robinson even told that story. Sugar Hill Gang knows this story. And of course, the DJ, the program director, and the DJ both know this information, which is still around. And so when we first heard it, it was like, what is that? Now, it was familiar because of the fact that for me, because I was older, in 1979, I was 19. So I've heard rhythmic poetry, okay? Which because I came up and the first rhythmic poetry that I heard was the Last Poets. And I've heard Gil Scott Heron. So when Rappers Delight came out, it was the Good Times beat that attracted me first before the rhymes. Um, but with the song being 15 minutes long, that's the thing because we were skating off of it, we were dancing off of it, so it just pretty much took over the airwaves. 15-minute song that's twice and twice in what, a half hour, four times an hour. So that's how it became big here. that particular song became gigantic because the phone lines lit up so much when it was first played. The program director said, repeat it, play it again. So that's how St. Louis got caught up in the whole hip hop thing from that.
Wow. Wow, you mentioned the story that it was actually East St. Louis that broke rappers' delight and set off the wave. Now, you mentioned the skating rinks. Talk about how the skating rink scene was very instrumental in the hip hop scene in and around St. Louis.
Man, skating in St. Louis is like uh I guess like acting in Hollywood.
Mhm.
That's how big it is. This St. Louis is a skate city. So everybody in St. Louis, pretty much, as we all say, either skate or know somebody who skates. That's pretty much how it is because it was so big when the rap music, because back then we called it rap. We didn't call it hip hop. Rap music got into the skating rinks. It was a whole new thing because I was DJing at the skating rinks. So I got to see, and I'm a skater. So I was skating at these skating rinks. St. Louis at that time had probably somewhere around 12 different, 12, 15 different skating rinks. Uh, and so each day there was a different skating rink we could go to. Now, the hip hop music, what was going on at the skating rinks was not just the music part of it, but people were pop locking back then off the hip hop music, the rap music, because so pop locking was St. Louis's thing first before rapping. It was the pop locking thing. So, which of course, came from the West Coast style. So, the b-boying and all of that came later. But first, St. Louis, everybody was pop locking, you know, Beat Street, breaking, all that. That's what, yeah, that was us. So hip hop was huge at the skating rinks, huge, all of the skating rinks.
Mhm. Wow, which is crazy. And you mentioned how popping and locking hit first in St. Louis before rapping, and it kind of got me thinking as you were talking about that, thinking about Soul Train and how it was taped out west in LA, and how majority of those dancers came from out west. And they're very big on the hand movements, like popping, locking, tutting, voguing, whacking, waving. Whereas East Coast, if you look at New York, is all about footwork.
Footwork, yes. Up rocking and down rocking.
Mhm.
Um, dude, did you know that one of the okay, did you know that you remember the group, the Lockers?
Yes.
Okay. Rerun.
Yes, sir.
He's from St. Louis.
Oh, really?
Yes, he was from St. Louis. And here's another one for you. Um, what is the Lockers what was
Are you
uh
speaking to Shabadoo?
not Shabadoo, the leader.
Don Camelot Campbell?
Camelot. Okay, Camelot. The Camelot dance. Okay.
Hmm.
Don Camelot from St. Louis. He moved out to LA and so I used to talk to him when he was alive, and he told me all of this. He told me a lot of stories about things. Um, he created that dance. Um, just it was just something he did because he wasn't really a dancer like they was dancing in LA. So he had his own style.
Hmm.
And so it was so different, but so cool at the same time. People locked into it. So that's how that became, you know, the Don Campbell locking.
Mm,
That's what that is. Yeah, and rerun, yeah, this St. Louis has made an impact in rap, in hip hop, in so many different ways that people don't even realize.
mm,
Because St. Louis doesn't get the notoriety like, you know, either LA or New York,
mm.
and now Atlanta, so
Right.
how that goes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about who has the narrative, who tells the
Yes.
story. And this was back during the days when rap was very hyper regional, where it would be rare for an act outside of your region to break through nationally unless you had major label backing or somebody's push. And, for me, we were speaking on this prior to us setting up for this interview that for me, being from North Carolina, my first time nationally hearing of St. Louis on the rap radar was, of course, when Nelly exploded with Country Grammar. But, of course, as you know, there were plenty of other rappers in St. Louis prior to Nelly, but Nelly was just the one that got that national break.
Nelly got a national push, a national break. There was it's a lot of things that lined up. Things usually line up when something cracks through.
Mhm,
Okay. But Nelly wasn't the first. Silk Smooth was the first artist signed to a major label out of St. Louis in 1991, 1990, 91. So that was that was
mhm,
well prior to a generation before
mhm,
Nelly. So it was
mhm,
pretty much timing. Um, because the time that Silk Smooth came out, there were other local artists that were putting out product, um, doing shows and everything else, you know, regionally and citywide, in the metro area. And so, and this pretty much started off with because of the Rappers Delight trend, because we had something on St. Louis, East St. Louis, and I'm gonna just say the metro area, that was on commercial radio called the Roll Call Show. And the Roll Call Show was when the the on air jock, goes by the name of Dr. Jockenstein, would do this roll call thing, and before kids went to school and after kids came home from school. Um, so you pretty much name out, the your favorite radio station, your favorite teacher with the golden rule, you know, and then you say these things. It's a call and response thing, and while a instrumental track is playing, whether it was "Good Times" or "Holiday" by Change, or Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde instrumental. And and so once the jock finishes the call and response with you, then you take off and start freestyling. So that is what got St. Louis people into rapping a lot. And that set the trend for people, you know, doing recordings and things like that, you know.
mhm. Right. And you definitely had to make sure that you were on point too, because once again, this was a new genre at the time and everybody was looking to get in on the ground floor. Now, you mentioned that there were multiple skating rinks in and around the city where you could go skate or whatever. Now, as far as for DJing, at that time, was it where one person had a particular monopoly, or was it where there was a bunch of different DJ crews trying to gun for that number one spot?
It's always somebody trying to be number one. That's the territory. But there were crews and there were individuals. Um, at that particular time in early hip hop, there was two main crews that I can recall off the top of my head, which was a group called P Funk and a group called RET. Uh, and they had some of the biggest battles in St. Louis where, you're talking 800, 1,000 kids, coming to their parties. And they, of course, it was R&B music because it was more R&B music than rap music, but rap would always get played. Um, but then they would take the instrument or make the instrumentals by mixing, and they'll be rapping over them. You know, there's another crew I know that came out of Wellston. I can't think of the name of their crew, but that in that particular crew was the guy, Big Gene, that used to be the bodyguard for um, Diddy.
Mhm.
He was in that crew. So he was into hip hop back then. So his crew, they used to do these battles also. So there was, the some of the main DJs at some of the big clubs or teen clubs or at the skating rinks, this one guy by the name of Darrell, we call him DJ the DJ. Um, he was just unbelievable guy because he was quick. His mixes were tight. He loved hip hop, and he would he. I don't really like to say this, but it is a fact that he would take his crutch. He would get off his crutches, put them to the side, and be on one leg and mixing, cutting, spinning, everything. And he DJ'd at a place they call the Animal House, which was one of the biggest, if not the biggest teen club in St. Louis, you know. So yeah, you had people like him that was out there doing their thing. DJ Charlie Chan, who uh, is Run DMC's DJ. When Jam Master Jay passed away, he took over, or was asked to, fill the spot. So there's plenty of I've heard by many people, whether they live in St. Louis or not, that St. Louis got some of the best DJs across the globe.
Mhm.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it proves independent. Now, I want to know what makes a St. Louis DJ different from, let's say, a LA DJ or a New York DJ.
Well, I think one of the key things is St. Louis DJs get the best of all four corners. We're right in the middle. So we get what comes from the north, the south, the east, and the west.
Mhm.
Everything comes in the middle. So our variety is wider. East Coast, East Coast, you lived on East Coast, and I love East Coast sound. I love West Coast sound. But East Coast, I know for a fact that East Coast DJs play only East Coast music. West Coast DJs, I'm not sure what ranges they go out of. And I'm talking when I'm saying this from back in the 90s when the way things were, because it was hard. It was almost impossible to get DJs in these areas to play music that came from out of St. Louis or out of Chicago. They pretty much stayed in their own region. And that's what music is not supposed to do. It's supposed to be regional, but it's supposed to go out of the regions. That's how it was in the 60s, 70s. But everything kind of changed up where it's like, this is us, this is ours, and we're better than you. It just changed the dynamic. That's the things that caused the whole East West beef. Didn't make sense.
Right.
This is music. But that's
Mhm.
my opinion.
Right.
you know
Right, right. I totally agree. And which was surprising when the Chronic blew up nationally because when you listen to it aesthetically, the productions is pretty much a West Coast record that went international.
That and I'm gonna say one of the I'm just thinking production wise, one of the reasons is because the production sounded universal.
Mhm.
The and you know and I know uh probably there's a good chance that when you first heard Snoop Dogg's voice, it blew you away because you knew you never heard a voice that sounded like that. For one, it was so different. It's like you was attracted to it. Like, this is so dope. Who is this? You know,
Mhm.
when and you couldn't really tell where he was from, but you knew it was West Coast sound, but you really couldn't pinpoint. Just like we didn't know DOC was from Dallas till he told you. It's just something about the articulation, the style. It was like, we gonna take this whole rap thing and we gonna make it ours. And so the Chronic with the samples, everybody knows P Funk music in America. I mean, it's funk is funk. So first you're getting wrapped in by the samples, the production, you know, and those, and then you got an album called The Chronic. Okay, half of America probably smokes. So they out of curiosity, they probably gonna listen, or they gonna listen and they probably gonna smoke at the same time. So it takes them right there into that era. So that is, and you know what's really crazy? I I can't even I can't people say, well, Chronic was one of the best albums ever. Not for me though. It was cool, but great album, but not my style.
Mhm.
Not my it's nothing that I would ride around and play because it's not meant for me. And that's how I try to explain to people. It's like there's a lot of songs that people are not making songs for me. People are not making songs for you. They're making songs for hopefully themselves, and hopefully it will stick to you,
Mhm.
you know. Uh so because everybody don't smoke. I don't smoke. I never smoked. So Chronic, I don't it doesn't hit me like that, you know. I mean, you can do what's the song? Blame it on the liquor or whatever. What's
Blame it on
this? Blame
alcohol.
it on, yeah, alcohol.
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
drink, so who am I have nothing to blame nothing on.
Right.
It doesn't do any This song don't do nothing for me.
Right. 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 It's all about hitting your target demo.
Yes, right. And that's what it was about. So I give him credit for being a genius, knowing that there was a target audience out there that he knew that he could hit. And now the man's a millionaire. So hey,
Hmm. Yeah, making more money off Beats by Dre and
you know what I'm
everything else
saying?
to where he don't have to put out another
Right.
album again.
Exactly. Ever. Ever.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Dre, send me some of that money. Nah, I'm good though. But back to the early days of hip hop. Was Magic in St. Louis real supportive of hip hop during the time before it became a national thing, or was it like most radio stations at the time where absolutely no rap, or if you had a song with a rap verse, it got edited out and they had to play it only on overnights or weekends where it wouldn't affect the Arbitron diaries.
Well, honestly, I'll tell the truth that I didn't listen to much radio or at all. I pretty much listen to music that I would buy. I would make my own mixes and I listen to them. I started listening to I would every now and then I would listen to, if I knew a certain DJ was on, I would listen to that particular DJ, but listen to regular radio,
Mhm.
I stopped doing that in the 70s. Once I was out of school, out of high school, I was done with that. I ain't had the time for that. It wasn't, I wasn't trying to duplicate what somebody else was doing. Um, so m m I would say uh, one particular DJ, uh, Captain G, rest in peace, Greg Beasley, who he was the first DJ on Magic, the commercial station, to play my first song, um, which was like a high post, you know, because there wasn't regular for radio, urban radio to play local artists. Just what, and especially rap music too. No, trying to get rap music on the air on commercial radio was difficult in those early days.
Mhm. Yeah, it was definitely no fun because you hear the stories about the independent promos and the record label radio promo man going to talk to the MD or PD, say, "Hey, give me X amount of spins for this," and then, yep, that and some other things that were under the table in order to get the stuff played. Palms had to be greased. If you've seen Five Four Beats or any other music biopic, then you know what goes on. Payola and some other things, and that now rap is of course the most popular genre in the world, and you can go to any country, you don't know a lick of English, but they can know a rap record. But I want to piggyback on what you were mentioning earlier about going out to record stores to buy records. Were there local mom and pop stores that you would frequent to go get your records, and if so, what were some of the most popular ones in town that you would hunt?
Man, I hung out at record stores, man. Saturday morning, I would go hang out at the record store. One particular, um, it's called CJ's Embassy in Wellston. I used to go there, and what was cool about it is uh, they would let the new stuff that came in, they would play it for me, you know. And so it's like, okay, I want a copy of that. They play something else. Okay, give me a copy of that. I want that album. I used to go to the one-stop shops where which was the distributors, where the company record stores are going to pick up their music from. So I used to go there and get some stuff. Sometimes they give me, like it'd be a section of, rap music that came out of New York that he really can't sell, but it's like promos or whatever. And
Mhm.
he's like, yeah, you can get anything out of that, just give me $1 for it. Uh, Amazing stuff that I got out of that bunch, you know. But so then there's vintage vinyl, which was one main hub of mine. That's why actually, when I had my record label, um, that was my spot. That was my shop. Yeah, Joe's Music Shop, uh, Hudson's Embassy, Peaches, Street Side Records. There was, so some of those mom and pops, like, you know, and some, the main, the main stores, street size Peaches or whatever. But we went to those too because the people that worked there knew what we was looking for. So it wasn't like they was lost if you go in there saying, "Hey, I want this," you know. They were like, we don't have that. We don't know what it is." So they supported the local DJs also because they had young people in there working. So
Mhm.
we all knew, where to go to get records.
Right. And if you all haven't seen the documentary All Things Must Pass about Tower Records, the record store was the like the community watering
Barbershop.
hole where You would just go hang out, talk with the clerk, the manager about music, and then if you get in real good with them, they'll hold some stuff for you.
Always. Hold there for me. I'll be back next week. Oh.
Mhm. Now, at the same time, too, it probably was where a bunch of DJs frequent the same store, but you had a few DJs that probably wouldn't give up where they got a certain exclusive record because you wouldn't want nobody biting your stuff.
Interesting you say that because I would buy a lot of my music out in New York, 42nd Street. Um, because I used to go up to New York a lot. And so I knew a couple of people that worked at the record store. And so when I go to New York, I would I would tape Red Alert and Marley Marl's radio show. Um, and so I come home and I listen to it and pick out the songs that I like. I would call my people and play the songs for them over the phone. It's like, what is this? I need this. It was like, this such and such. Okay, I need two copies of that. So I would make my own package list and, pay for it. They send them to me. And those are the songs that I used to break in the skating rink, and when I was on radio back then. So and I used to tape up, I used to put black tape on the covers of my songs, my records, because I didn't want nobody to know what they were. You're right. 45 King 900 number, nobody knew what that was. But they all, when they played it at the skating rink, they went nuts.
Wow. That's crazy. But that was the early way of research and development with what you were doing, where, like you said, you would tape BLS and Kiss, go to your contacts in New York. Hey, what's this? Call to the local record store. Give me this. And then you play it in St. Louis, where you lucky if that record would get to St. Louis months prior, but you have the inside track on breaking a record before the people in New York say, "Hey, we got to break this record here. This record's already hitting. Why is this record getting so much push in St. Louis?"
Right. That's how I don't know if you remember Stranger D, Knock 'em Out Sugar Ray. Teddy Ted and Awesome too, Teddy Ted Special K, um, asked me about that because they was promoting that because they had something to do with it. So it was like, we got this record, send it to you, let us know what you think, and if you can hit it for us. Man, I was playing that record and people went nuts. To this day, I know a couple of people, if I play that song, they would go crazy because that beat was like, that was a skate song.
Mm,
Like I say, St. Louis had two cultures here, skating and dancing. They was just as big, both of them, you know,
they went hand in hand. Now, were you a part of any record pools back in the day?
never, never part of a record pool because I didn't, one, I was doing since 1988. I was doing radio. I've been doing radio. So I didn't have to, if I wanted the record, I can call up a rep or it came in the mail anyway. So, so I never had to do the record pool thing.
Well, lucky you. Now, for those that
Yeah.
don't know, record pools was just a big group where DJs would get in either by through rep or invite only, and you would get certain promos for records before they would break. And they say, "Hey, we want to test this record. Let us know what you think." But when you have a direct connect to, let's say, A&R John Doe at ABCDE Records that could give it to you hot off the press, you don't necessarily need to go to the record pool, cut the middleman out, go straight to the source.
Mhm. Yeah, I was lucky. You
Yeah, but
know,
not everybody has that luck where they can go straight to the source. You got to go through the man, next to the man, next to the man to get the record.
then somewhere in there might be a woman. You
Yeah, her
never
too.
know. Because some of those some of them record reps, man, some of my best friends still to this day were the females.
Hmm.
I got to give them props for pushing. That's some of the reasons why I got some of these things behind
Right,
me because
right,
the music they was pushing, the Wu Tang, you know,
right.
uh, Public Enemy stuff, man.
Right.
Yep.
Right. You mentioned Wu-Tang. I was watching the Wu-Tang series when it was on Hulu, and they were in the middle of promoting Protect Your Neck when Steve Rifkin had signed them over to Loud, and how they were having a hard time breaking them. But college radio was really the first to really break Wu-Tang before nationally everybody caught on. Yeah,
Okay.
give it to me. Give it to me.
Okay. Um, True story. When the RCA Loud rep sent me that promo copy of Protect Your Neck, I sat down and I played it at home. And when I first put the needle on it, heard this kung fu fighting, I instantly set up to listen because I love kung fu movies. And when it went off, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, I'm playing this. My Friday night show, I played that. I put it in a hit or miss section of the show. And so once the album came out, I was going around to record stores, and people that I know, and I was playing, letting them play, listen to this CD. I sat in there, stood in there while they played. I'm like, listen to this, all these different, so I that's one that album I literally pushed because I thought everybody need to hear this. Um the crazy thing is I found out later, answering your question, I found out later that because I not only did I do my radio show, but I was charting also, so with Hits and Gavin. So I found out that they was giving plaques to DJs, commercial DJs, that because Wu-Tang had went platinum. And I was also part of the Bay Area Coalition. Bay Area Coalition stepped in and said, hell no. Our college DJs, non-commercial radio station DJs, we broke that. They broke that. So they need to get plaques. So it was like, okay, we don't have, something. I guess they didn't want to give everybody both because there was so many of us DJs that broke them across the country. So we got, because it's like, I think if I can remember right, I think they said something like, you get either the Wu Tang plaque or the Mob Deep plaque, So I got the Wu Tang plaque, and it's like when I got that plaque, knowing what I did, I'm like, I deserve this. I
Hmm.
deserve. So yes, it was college DJs and community station DJs that broke Wu Tang.
Hmm.
Yes, that is a fact.
Wow. Yes, sir. And then one of the amazing things about Wu-Tang is that you got nine MCs. And typically when you're signed to a label, they have what's called right of first refusal, where if a member of a group leaves, they have first dibs on picking up for a solo contract. But smart thing was RZA and them was like, nah, you're not gonna have us just record to this label for a solo record. We want to go here, want to go here, want to go here. That's why you had ODB, Electra, Method Man, Def Jam, and all the other labels in between all the other members. So it's a great way to spread the product out and to not give one label so much
Oh,
control.
it's no different than what George Clinton did. Same thing. Brides of Frankenstein, Paulette, you know, Horny Horns, you can go down the line, you
Mhm.
know. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Right. And I would not be remiss if we don't mention Stanley Burrell, aka MC Hammer, in this conversation because Hammer deserves all his credit, all his props for what he did. Even though people would say, nah, he doing all this commercial because of what he did. That's why rap is pop where it is now. So can we just talk about just Hammer's impact on the game?
Hell, I I see you like Howard. You like we gotta talk about
Yeah,
Howard.
we got to talk about Hammer.
No,
I mean,
no,
I was like
yeah,
five when Hammer, please don't hurt him drop, but Hammer was a movement. I mean, the man had a Tiger video game. He had a doll Saturday morning cartoon. He was pushing KFC, British Knights. I mean, it should not be glossed over what Hammer did and what he brought to the industry and how he made rap pop.
you know what's interesting? I'm gonna say this. Um, I didn't particularly care for Hammer when he first came out, being honest.
Mhm.
Hammer grew on me uh because of a couple of things. One, his energy, and two, he just did Hammer. He wasn't trying to be nobody else but Hammer. He gave jobs to all these people. uh, and when I say jobs, let me say this. I know I don't know how many total, uh, but I know of two, two to three dancers of Hammer are from St. Louis. So Hammer would come here and he was good friends with a guy we know called Sonny Metcalf. His name is Sonny Metcalf. Sonny Metcalf had a core of talented artists, whether they was dancers, singers, rappers, you know, and Sonny's group of dancers were on that level of Hammer. Some of them ended up going to work with Genuine. I know one of them ended up working with Michael Jackson. So Hammer gets respect from me because, I listen to Hammer songs today, and see, this was in the '80s, late '80s, early '90s, when it's like, okay, because I'm not a dancer, you
Mhm.
know, so I ain't really trip off of them like that. So it's not that I ain't like them, it just wasn't my taste. And I'm gonna say like around late '90s, early 2000s, and I started listening to Hammer music and listening and just kind of evaluating it a little bit deeper. I'm like, this dude is great. This dude is super dope. How come Hammer is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame like some of these other artists? Because what Hammer did, you're exactly right. Hammer paved the way for a lot of these artists to get what they was getting. You know, he achieved things that so many other rappers, so many, never achieved, and at this point never will. Like you say, cartoons, you know, um, uh, dolls, animated, or whatever they call them, figurines, cereal boxes, the commercials, the the sponsorships, all of that, and the money that he gave, you know, um, yeah, I give it to him. I give it to him. I'm with you.
Yeah, because I
Get-
think when at the time when Hammer broke, rap was still at a crossroads to where we want to be seen as real and authentic and not cross over, but not realizing you need that crossover in order to sustain and give legs. You could keep the street oriented stuff for your radios and your mix shows, but you need something for the radios, need something that mom and dad can have little John and Becky to listen to. Hammer was that. And then also too, what Hammer did was he was independent because of course Bay Area is all about getting out the mud, doing it yourself, selling out the trunk. So he released Power, and then when that started doing numbers up in the Bay, Capital came knocking and was like, "Hey, we want to sign you." And like, "Nah, I'm pushing this independent. So give me this, give me this." So when Capital signed Hammer, they just repackaged Power to Let's Get It Started. Then of course we had the phenomenon once Please Hammer Don't Hurt Him came out in '90.
Mhm. And he hurt him.
Yeah, yes, he heard him all the way to the bank album, I believe, went diamond, and then of course, you had of course other Bay Area rappers like Too Short, E40, following that same model of doing it yourself, getting it out the trunk, and once you sell indie out the trunk, put up numbers, you have all the leverage in the world back then if labels wanted to come sign you because you could just tell them, no, I
Yep.
don't need y'all. I'm doing this all independent. I just need to get you for the push. And then, as what we saw when Master P signed his deal with Priority for No Limit, it was unheard of. But once again, it's all about just showing that you got a product that they want, making them want you, and then you telling them, I can do this without you. Give me this.
Mhm. Now, trying to remember if Short was prior to Hammer. I think
And
Freaky Tales came out
yeah,
before Hammer came out.
yeah, I think you're right.
Right.
I
Right.
think Born to Mac came out prior. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I was like this
Yeah,
timeline. I mean,
yeah.
okay,
But
because I
both in
mean,
but
Short,
both in that same school.
right, you're right.
Mhm.
That Bay Area.
Yes,
Yep.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yep.
That Bay
Out the
Area.
trunk.
Yes, sir. Get pop the trunk,
Yep.
selling it at somebody's high school football, basketball game parking lot, at the swap meet, at the flea market, or
The,
go to your local record store, but hey, slide this aside, let me get this on consignment.
hmm Yeah, tell me about consignment. Oh my gosh. I'm still
Sound like you
old
had a
money.
love-hate relationship with consignment.
Yeah, I'm still old money. I forgot about it. That's been
Mm.
30 years, 30, 40 years ago. It's
All
like,
right, so we're not gonna talk about no more consignment because we don't want to have you knock on the door and say better have my money. So
nah.
let's talk about that little gentleman in that plaque behind on you all, Eminem. So what was your first thoughts when you first heard Eminem? And that did you feel when you first heard him that he was gonna take off, or was it gonna take a while for everybody else to get it?
Um, Eminem, I'll put it like this. Eminem, when I first heard him, he was on that track with Dre. Uh, and the reason I heard him is because is the reason I got this plaque of Eminem. Is because I started the video mix when I created the video mix in 1995. So in 99, what's that, 99, 2000, um, I was asked, me and um, Charlie Chan, DJ Charlie Chan, was asked to do a video mix for Interscope, Geffen, A&M, the IGA music group. So by Kevin Black. And so they sent me all of their videos from the three companies. And Charlie Chan did the audio mix, and my thing was to do the edits. did this video mix with, and that's when I first saw the Eminem guy on this song with Dre, and I thought the song was funny, but that was the first I heard of him. Um, the reason, and that's the reason I got the plaque, is because of the video mix, not because of playing a lot of his music or whatever and all of that. This wasn't from radio. This was from video mixing. Just like this one over on this side from Atlantic Records, that I got for doing a video mix. They first ever video mix in 1998. They let me do. Um, so, but as far as Eminem, my favorite song of his is the one from 8 Mile. It's just that song just drives. to, you know,
Hmm.
um, I mean, he's Eminem. We all have our favorites. We got our top tens, top 50s, top hundreds. You know, I know who my favorite three is.
Hmm. Right.
But yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's where that's from.
Yeah.
That's
Y- Yeah. Eminem's a bad boy, and I want to kind of go back to mid '90s when everybody's eyes was starting to pay attention to the Midwest once Bone Thugs started breaking nationally. Crucial Conflict was making noise nationally with Hay. And then, of course, you had Common, then Do or Die. And then that just opened the floodgates for everybody else to come out of that region, you know. And it was just a great time musically because, like how we mentioned earlier, that prior to rap was more focused on play from your territory, and you don't really get to hear a lot of records outside of that territory. But once, everybody nationally started breaking, that's where those invisible dividing lines started to get erased. And, although initially when Outkast first dropped, it was a tough sell because, of course, them coming from Atlanta and everybody really understanding Southern rap and thinking that we're still on Uncle Luke and what was coming out of Miami with Miami bass, that now it's pretty much, you pretty much can't deny the South's impact. So what's your take on music now not having those dividing lines as before, where you're divided based on your region of the country or where you are in the globe, to where it's truly a universal genre?
I I think I think division is necessary, honestly. Um, like segregation. It's like you get the best of the best when you're divided. Because then you have the chance to pick out of that barrel, pick out of that barrel. But when it's all thrown together, somehow it comes through a machine, and then what comes out the other end is given to everybody, and the rest is waste. You
Hmm.
don't hear about it. It's like, this is what we want you to hear. Bam. That's all you get. If you want anything other than that, then they're considered scraps, which means you got to go and dig for it to find it. So that's why music across this country is pretty much all the same wherever you go. Whatever station you turn on, they playing the same thing in another city. But when it was regional and divided up, it's like if you went to visit some other city and you heard a song, it's like, oh, I gotta take that back home. You felt you was geeked on that. You couldn't wait to get home. It's like, oh, they got to hear this. Ain't nobody got this but me. Those were the things that also separated DJs. Them the things that got DJs residencies over other DJs. They had music other DJs didn't have. DJs had to work for their position. They weren't given a position. It's like, well, you can DJ here. You know what I mean, you good and all, but you playing the same stuff everybody else playing, you know. But if you digging for new stuff and you got stuff that the rest of them ain't got, they want you there, you know. So I, I when I first heard, hey, uh, it's funny, Five Freddy was working that. That was his group, and he sent me that that promo of that, and I put it on, and I knew right away that was funkadelic when I first hit the needle. I was like, and I actually liked this song because, and then I watched the video because he sent me the video too. I'm like, and they from Chicago, okay, you know, um, my and then it's interesting about Twister. When I first heard Twister, Tongue Twister, the song was the name of the song. We played it on the radio show, me and my partner, and he was going so fast, da, 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 just going. It's like, wait a minute, let's do something here. I was like, let's play that over again. So we played it over, and what I did with the entire record, I didn't have the turntable turned on to rotate, put the needle on, and I turned the record slower myself, the entire record, so we can hear what he was saying all the way to the end. Just to be, it was our radio show. We could do stuff like that, uh, you know. So he was, I he was just one of them people that was outstanding, but I didn't really get into bone harmony. Uh, but my favorite, who's one of my top favorite rappers, lyricists of all time, when I first heard him, I put that needle on the record. I'm like, oh, this is so dope. And at the time, it's like once that album came out, his album came out. I'm gonna tell you who it is. Um, I called this manager, and he was gonna let me bring him to St. Louis for only $1,500 at this time. This was in '92, and and I couldn't find nobody to go half with me. And I told him that story when I saw him about a month ago, and that was common
Wow.
when he was common sense, you know. So is so I never had an issue with where somebody came from, where they was located. I was more into lyrics. If you're saying something that I can relate to, that's even, that's right on. If the
Mm,
music is there, I'm even more locked in. So I'm gonna play this stuff until I get tired.
right, right. And I know you mentioned earlier that you had a record label. Can you talk about that experience?
My record label, I started in 1988. Um, it was called Wizardtron Records, based off my name, Wiz, G-Wiz. And at the particular time, the animated cartoon, Voltron. So I put the two together, came up with Wizardtron. Put out my first record in 1988 by the name of Culture Shock, uh, with my rapper, um, co-producer, Early D, rest in peace, and also written by um, D Rebel, rest in peace, Dangerous D, D Rebel, David Roberts, um, and then put out after that. uh, a he side, she side record. Um, One side was D Rebel, the other side was Double Def, but two female rappers, with song Def Get Busy, and Qualified MCs, which was the song to actually use the Donna Summer Love to Love You Baby before Freaks of the Industry. And the D Rebel side, Get Hip to This and On the Roll Again. Um, then after that, I released a EP with St. Louis's own Ramrilla, aka Ram Love. Freedom. We was working on a project, and he called me one day, and he was like, "Did you see what's going on Turn It On channel such and such?" I turned it on, and it was the Rodney King thing going on,
Mm,
and he was like, "We got to do a song about that." So 2 days later, he had a song written, and we called it Freedom. Based on that whole Rodney King thing. Um, Released that, and then we ended up releasing a whole album with Ram, myself, um, the producers, me, Lev Burlack, who did production for the Who Riders and E40 and all them. He's on the East West Bay Area now in Oakland, and uh, Ben Monroe, uh, executive produced by myself, Lev, and Black, who was a St. Louis MC. Um, what's Black's name? Is I forgot his MC name. Um, and then after that, um, I kind of went from that and went into the video mixing thing. So I kind of like ended, but I did some other projects with some other groups,
mm,
uh, you know, but I didn't release anything after those projects. Pretty much just shifted gears and went to another direction.
mm. Okay. And now, was your label specialized primarily in just rap, or did you have
Yeah,
R&B acts signed as well?
and just pretty much R&B acts. I mean, rap acts. Even though a couple of the songs we done had some R&B singers on, like the one song "Freedom" about the Rodney King. That one and one called "Life Ain't Long." The guys that sung on that are the guys from the group. Um, uh, they sung with I think it was Old School. They sung with Escape.
Uh,
Uh, yeah, I think the name of them was Old School.
yeah, they did that remake of Atlantic
Uh,
Star, Am I
yeah,
Dreaming?
who am I dreaming? Yes, Lil Bobby them. Yes, they were the background singers on the songs that we used R&B um, background singing on.
That's interesting. Now, I want to get your take when it was around, at least this is from my viewpoint, 86, 87. You started to hear R&B embrace hip hop elements in terms of production, in terms of sound, with productions from Full Force, and then of course Teddy Riley blew the doors down with New Jack Swing with Keith Sweat's Make It Last Forever. So what was your take when hearing that sound and hearing R&B starting to sound more like rap records?
Those were money decisions. Money, I say those was my opinion. I say those was money decisions because at that particular time, during that time period, rap music was surpassing R&B sales. So to get R&B artists to sing over hip hop beats, it's like, well, let's see how that combination works. And it was working, and it worked. I mean, same thing with the Mary J. Blige, you know, all that, real love, all that stuff, you know, samples, hip hop samples. It's
Mm,
like the R&B that we knew of with instrumentation and all of that. It was phasing out. Plus, it was cheaper. to have a producer produce hip hop tracks than to hire bands to play, for an artist, a
Hmm.
singer, you know. So that's the way I was looking at it. Like that's the new form that's coming in. I see it changing
Hmm.
in a minute. That's why it's like, well, that's when people compare music sections, generations. Like
Hmm.
70s music was better than no 80s music R&B was better. No 90s R&B, depending on when you lived
Hmm.
and what you like. If you like instruments, you like people playing by feel, of course you're gonna go to the 70s and 60s. You
Hmm.
know, 80s is when it started changing. Like you say, mid 80s, so
Hmm. Right. Right, I agree. And then we're having the same conversation now with AI coming in, and how a lot of people are saying that, oh, AI is coming. And I kind of look at it with technology coming, it's gonna be here. It's up to you whether to adapt or to not adapt, and you're gonna get left behind. So figure out how to use it to your advantage, or it'll use you.
AI been around since I think the 1950s, late 40s or 50s. Huh. So it's nothing new. It's just that it's now that is in the last, I guess, 5 years, um, right after COVID or pre-COVID, it started becoming more and more open to the regular general public, I should say.
Hmm.
But it's been around because I mean, college students was using AI to pass exams. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't doing no
Hmm.
studying. They was typing in a question.
Hmm.
So I look at it the same way you do. It's like you can't you can't you can't fight a system that you have no control of and you don't know what or who the system is. You have to just adapt to it, or you will be left behind because nothing is going to wait for you. You know, things going to evolve and move on. Point
Hmm.
blank. You can still sit there with your black and white TV if you want to, uh, but it's not going to work. You're not going to get the same TV shows I'm getting you know so we have to make decisions, conscious decisions on what worked for us, what doesn't work for us, and just go that route. You don't have to get deep into something. They said decade I remember when I was in school and they brought up computers, how computers was going to do this and destroy the world and turn this and that. That is true if you let it. See, computers is just a machine. Man is the problem.
Hmm.
They control it, what comes out of it.
Yeah, yeah. What did Melly Mel say in B Street? Don't be a slave to no computer. And look at where we are now.
And that was the early 80s.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, which is crazy. I was curious to know, did you ever have a desire to parlay your success as a DJ into a job working at a major label, maybe in the A&R department or anything with a major, or you're like, no, no thanks, that's not for me.
no, 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 no. No, because I had a career. I already had a career as a carpenter. So I was good with that. One that, if you get laid off, you can just go back to the union and get another job.
Right,
you know,
right, right.
one with benefits and everything. No, I'm good. No,
Yeah, yeah, that steady gig is real good. But this was back in the day when there were certain people that started out in radio, broke some records, and then parlayed that into working at major labels. And that was a golden era.
that was because one, that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to be in that life. That's a difficult job. As a promoter, record promoter, especially back then, you know, um, everything was, but it was so much money around then. It was like, yeah, you can come to my city and take me to lunch wherever I want to go and spend money on me and whatever and write it off. It was nothing. Take a whole record pool group of people or a bunch of DJs, take them out and write it off. They had that kind of money. And some people felt good doing that, feeling like, yeah, I can come to a different city I don't live in, and I'm the man because everybody know, no, you the man because you're paying for everything. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, of course they gonna like you.
Mm.
Don't pay for the meal and see what happens.
Right.
You
Right. You
know,
got yeah, you got EFG black card and you pretty much tricking off their money.
right? So you gonna spend it because you got this budget for the year, and you
Mm-hmm.
gotta use it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I wouldn't want no. I got offered in when was this? In 2003. I got offered a gig to work for Music Choice Channel doing video mixes. And I turned it down. Like, no, nope. Because I was trying to uh do do a video mix show on Music Choice Channel. And it came down, from the top where they didn't music choice because they don't do commercials. They didn't see any way of making money off of it, or making money to pay me for doing them because they have to pay for the music license and the video license, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So they said, well, instead, would you like to work for us? Like, no. Because I have a career. I'm a carpenter.
Right.
I'm not gonna quit my job and
Right.
come up and live up here. This high cost no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, nah, the
And then
entertainment and music industry is a roll of
right,
the dice.
right. 2 months later, you lay me off. Yeah, I can go back and get another job, but I didn't want to quit the company I was working for. I had it
Nah,
made.
play it safe. Now, speaking of music videos, it was just announced recently that at the end of the year, MTV is going to shut down all of its linear video channels, MTV Classic, MTV 80s, so on and so forth. I want to get your take on how because of internet, because of social media, it pretty much killed the music video. How as back when I was a kid, music videos especially was the social media vehicle of its day.
I didn't know that, what you just said. Are they really?
Yeah, yeah, it just came out that I guess it came from upstairs that they're gonna shut down the linear video channels like MTV Classic, MTV 80s, and it just kind of filled with the way social media is now and how kids consume product. It's in bite sizes, short bursts to where you're sitting watching something long form. That's alien to these kids. How as back when I was a kid used to literally run to the TV to turn the BET MTV to see a world premiere of somebody's video. Or if you were Michael Jackson, he was simulcasting it on the major networks plus BET and MTV.
That's Oh my gosh. That's just another form of erasing history. It's the way I see it. Because I mean, and I know that everything now is flash, 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 flash. 2 seconds and move on. 2 seconds, move on. It's like, okay, but everybody don't view things like that. Some people want to see the whole story. Some people want to see the fine parts of it. And so they're literally taking what your generation, my generation loved and engulfed ourselves in. They taking it away, forcing us to start looking at things in a blur real fast. Like that generation out there that looks at stuff like that. You're taking away our history. Some of that stuff you would sit there probably for hours looking at them videos, reminiscing. Because you remember looking at it, you looking at the, not just listening to the music, but the background, the way they dance and how they dressed, the lyrics, all of that. And it's like you taking it away. It's like everything that we came up on is being stripped from us.
Yeah, yeah, it is. But you're also seeing the younger generation of kids now wanting to go back retro with analog and low tech. Because I saw a CBS Sunday Morning piece about how kids now are wanting to get cassettes, vinyl, and really experience analog audio.
Because they burnt out on what they are getting tossed. That stuff, if it moves fast, it goes away fast. And that's it's like, well, let's make it faster. It used to be 4 seconds. Then it jumped down to 2 seconds. You know, when you used to see, if you go back and look at music videos and you can see the camera shot, it may be 12 seconds on, 10 seconds just stationary before
Mhm.
another scene. As time went on, those seconds shrunk. Now it's like everything, like, it's like you don't get a chance to even see everything in the screen and it's gone. It's a different frame, a different shot, different person. So I don't think that's personally, I don't think that's good because you don't get the chance, you don't get a chance to pay attention to detail.
Mhm.
Detail is what makes everything make sense or not make sense.
Right,
So if it's flashing by, you ain't got time to think.
right. I
So I think
agree.
it's what they doing.
I agree. And what I worry too from the music side of things is that, it eliminated the A&R department and labels where you could just upload your stuff to social media and it's all about what's your impressions, what's your likes, what's your followers. You almost pretty much got to be prepackaged and ready to go for these labels. Have your streams up, have your counts up, and it's going to take push. It's going to take that too, but it's almost where you pretty much got to show the suits and the shareholders why should they invest money in you? Because if they're not going to get an ROI on that investment, they'll dump you quick. Because it's a money game now. It's about that P&L sheet.
It's always been a money game. They just had a lot more money to waste in. And I'm I'm s- I'm just saying, speculating, whatever. The money game was so much different in the 90s because you had this in this this flood of international money coming in due to products that were sold, bought and sold in America. And I mean, anybody that knows anything about the music industry was built on uh, how would a music company make money in the 1920s? Let's see, speakeasies, okay, liquor, okay. Um, let's see, drugs, sex, prostitution, them all money makers. So that's package that and put all of them elements into music, and we'll get another investment.
Mhm.
I mean, music with all kinds of stuff being said and whatever, they making money off of that. It's the same drink with different ice in it, is what I say. You know,
Mhm.
nothing's changed.
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Same game,
with
different
another name.
names,
Yeah.
and some of them try to wash that money clean, if you know what I mean.
Right. That's what I'm saying, and why it was so much money in the 90s. So much money. Everybody getting signed. Anybody. Just like, dad, you got signed too? You you just started rapping last year.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah, they gave me a good deal. Yeah, they gave you a good loan.
yep. Yep, a good loan, and you will have to pay that back because everybody is going to eat after before you because that advance, you thought that advance was something, but no, they're gonna have to recruit money from promo, from touring, from your hotel. Oh, that DJ you wanted on your tour set, that's coming out your budget. Oh, you wanted to get a single room instead of a double room at the Comfort Inn? That's coming out your budget. Oh, you want that extra food? That's coming out your budget. So it's pretty much you're footing the bill for everything and you're gonna pay it back. That's why some acts had to be on the road so much because their albums did not sell, and that's why they had to tour.
And they just not getting paid because they paying off bills. It's high price college.
Yep. But the worst one of all, you signed to the infamous production deal. You thought you were signed direct to the label.
Mm-mm.
No, production
They-
deal got to deal with the label.
Yeah,
You work for a production company, not the label.
they ain't playing, they ain't got no part of that. So you can't blame it on the label.
Mm-mm.
Why you go in with with a lawyer to read
Mm.
that stuff, then you can say, nah, I'm good.
Now, don't get no criminal lawyer either. Be sure to get an
Yeah,
entertainment lawyer
you know what
to
I'm saying?
read over your contract. I say it one more
You-
time. This is free legal advice. You can't get this on Top Dog. So go to an entertainment lawyer to make sure you read your contract. Because if you don't read your contract and you sign it, you're pretty much getting taken advantage of. No Vaseline. Shout out to Ice Cube.
Mhm. Yep, yep. That's pretty much how it goes. So
Yep.
I look at it where it's like I I thought that I could have made it in the industry from the stuff that I've done, the direction I was going, you know, and but as time went on, I looked at it like it wasn't meant for me to be in that industry at all. I wouldn't have fit. You have to be a certain type of person to be in the music industry. That I do know. If you're not, you will change. I'm not changing. I don't change like that because I is just a certain way I am, and I couldn't live with myself if I had to make changes like that. So it's not the industry ain't for everybody. Everybody think it is. I need to get in a. I need to be signed. Do you know what you signing for? That's the thing. It ain't It ain't peaches and cream. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't indulge in none of that stuff. I wouldn't even fit in the room. They would probably think I'm the feds or something because I'll be sitting in the corner watching them, looking at them like, what is wrong with these people? So I won't get invited to the party. And where are the deals made? At the parties.
Hmm. I would have been more like you too, because that was one of my aspirations growing up to get into the business, working as A&R, somebody's music department. But like you were saying, there's certain concessions that you may have to make in order to get in the game, and it's a dog eat dog, rat eat rat, step on folks, use people as a footstool to get to the top, and I ain't willing to sacrifice my morals or sell my soul for nobody.
Nope. Ditto.
My
Ditto.
soul is not for sale.
Nope. Nope. Can't do it either. But
No.
that's and I'm happy.
Yeah, that's where I say this, at least from the outsider's perspective, and from the people I've interviewed over the years and just seeing how the business is from the outsider point of view, you got to really have a strong sense of yourself before you go into an industry like that, because if not, it'll take a hold of you and you'll lose yourself in it.
Yeah. Like the song say.
Lose yourself.
Who was to tell?
Now, Now, I want to get you out on two things. So, the first thing, was there one act that you saw in St. Louis or anywhere that you thought had everything together, look, song, marketing, everything, but for some reason or another didn't make it for reasons or another?
Ooh, in St. Louis?
In or anywhere
Oh, anywhere,
or
anywhere.
anywhere. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Whoa, shoot. Okay, I'm gonna have one side of the brain think on that one. And so what's the other question?
All right, all right. So the other thing is just current projects, what you got going on while you're meditating on the first one.
Okay. Well, what I'm doing now is doing internet radio, to two two stations, two internet stations, KBDR and Black Radio Hall of Fame radio show, with my um, co-partner DJ Lady Jock, and working on doing a third radio show um, at the beginning of next year. That would be a commercial station, non-commercial station. Um, and then I am currently working on the next piece of my documentary background check, the story of St. Louis and East St. Louis hip hop from 79 to 1995. Um, so I've interviewed over 100 people for this. So part one was done in 2019, right before the pandemic. And it actually won the American Association of State and Local History Award for the state of Missouri. Um, so that's why I got to go ahead and get the rest of this part, up to 95 finished out so I can move on to my other projects, film projects.
Okay. And you know you have a platform here to come back and talk about that when everything's all ready and raring to go.
Man, I need to just get you first. I need to get you a copy of my of a background check, volume one. I need to get you that.
Oh yes,
Just
please do.
so you can see that, and then you'll see a little bit more about what I was talking about with rerun and pop locking and rappers delight being played first. All that's in there, you know.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. I need that. So you
yeah,
still
yeah, I
thinking of
know. You need that.
yes, yes, I need that. Just like how old brother needed that Hey Love album. This is a fantastic album, man. Let me borrow it. No, my brother. But you gotta get your own. That's how bad I need it. So did you think about that person that you thought that would have made it but didn't for reasons or another?
Well, I'm just going to because I don't want to be biased with
Oh yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
acts and my groups,
Hmm.
so I'm gonna try to just step out of that. And somebody that I personally, I think, off the top of my head, Razcast.
Hmm.
I think Razcast is one of the best lyricists I ever heard. Um, you know, and I mean, I like his lyrics, and the way he enunciates and all of that, but he never got on the plateau where I thought he should have got. He should have gone. I
Hmm.
just don't think he never got there. Nature of the Threat is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Hmm. Yeah, but as we know, with the industry and how the industry works, they have certain people that they want to push, and then of course the people, gotta respond. But at the end of the day, you gotta have somebody upstairs to pump money into, and if they got all their money into Project A, then Project B it's going to get lost in the shuffle. And then also another common thing that would happen too in the industry back in the day was when label heads would switch. They would bring in their people. You lose your champion in the building. And when that's done, you're done too.
Yeah, yeah. They did it. Yo, man, come on, man. I've been waiting. All right, I'm gonna hook you up, man. I'll let you know when. And meanwhile, these other three in line, they like, yeah, okay, his album is out. I'm next. And next thing you know, they walk past you. And then they get a deal. So you like, okay, we ain't got no more money in the budget. So, try again next year. That's how
Yeah.
it works.
Like, but you told me my album was coming out in quarter 2. But then y'all went and pushed it to quarter 4. Now it's gonna go to quarter 1 of the following year. So that's when you kind of get the hint where you indefinitely are getting shelved. But read the book Hitman by Frederick Dannon so that you can kind of get an idea of how back in the day, how some of these labels came to be. And once again, you look at any music dot like Five Heart Beats and whatnot, it doesn't fall far from the tree for some of these labels. If you know, you know. I ain't gonna say no names because I ain't got no money to be paying nobody's lawsuit. So, any shout outs you want to give before we conclude this interview, and also plug your socials.
Let's see. Let's shout out to my partners, DJ Cut, DJ Lady Jock, DJ Superman Speed, shout out to St. Louis, the support that I've got from St. Louis people who understands about, you know, just history in general, because I try to be that person that they can come to and get information from because I want to give you the information of what I know that you can possibly use or not use, but at least know, while I'm still here. That's the purpose of me being that elder. I got this to this age for a reason. So uh, let me as I say, let me throw up on you. You know, it's the only way you're gonna grow. Um, but you can go check out my website. The original, all one word, the original G-Wiz.com, and kind of see a little bit of my story. You can go on my YouTube page, G Wiz, the number 60. Check out interviews I've done with artists. You can even see my documentary on St. Louis and East St. roller skating rink, roller skating from back in the day called the Rink. You That way you can find out a little bit more about the skating thing that we was talking about earlier. And on live 365 live, you can catch me on KBDR Beat District Radio or what is it? Black Radio Hall of Fame, BRHF on 365. Okay, and then my Instagram, the original G Wiz, my Facebook, the original G Wiz. So I'm the original G Wiz.
And there you have it, people. And you can stream this interview wherever you stream podcasts and on the official YouTube channel, youtube.com/beyond the album cover. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big thank you to the one and only G-Wiz. And just like Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri, this bud's not for you or for me, but this interview is for you and for everyone. G-Wiz, thank you for coming on the podcast, and you're welcome to come back on anytime, brother.
Thank you, Jay. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate you, man. Thanks for reaching out from way far there that you are. I was shocked and amazed, but I'm so appreciative because you are the only person I've done an interview with, besides Memphis Jelks in Memphis. So two people who are not even people in St. Louis haven't done interviews with me. So thank you for even reaching out, man.
No, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you on, and I'm just glad to just have my platform be one to where you can share your story and that everyone can learn and know, and that preserving history, because what you share with us is history that should be told, that should be archived for generations, so that way they can know.
And everybody has a story. Everybody.
Yes, sir. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yes, yes, sir.